guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, today I'm going to take a look at this new little drone from JJRC. This is the H111. Picked this up on AliExpress. It's about $24 or $5, I think it was. And this is a non-camera version. It's about $5 more if you want to get the camera version. Because the camera version will have an optical flow so it can hold position. And of course it has an actual camera on the front. This is a little dummy camera. I didn't really want a camera version because I don't really need a camera, a little toy drone. I have better drones for that. But if you're someone who doesn't have one, maybe you want that. But I just want to fly this drone around and see how it performs. It's very lightweight, so there's no regulations to worry about. Brush motor powered. When you power this up, it has some white lights in the front here. This will light up and kind of glows, and it does like a breathing effect. And then there's some lights in the rear. Let's go ahead and power it up here. Just hold down the power button. There you can see you got white lights in the front. Kind of that breathing effect. It's more of almost a bluish purple on the drone logo. And red lights in the rear. That'll help with orientation for this little drone. So let's go ahead and turn it off. Now, as you can see, it comes in this really cool display case. So if you notice in the thumbnail, I did a little Photoshop work to show you both versions with it sitting inside the case and then outside as it is now. So it comes in there and you can put the drone back in there, use these little tab things to hold the propellers in place. And you can actually store this on your shelf with the drone, and then it looks pretty cool. Now it comes with one 1S LiPo. I believe this was 1800 milliamp hour. So that's a pretty decent sized battery for this little drone. This is a little micro low-C type connector. So you got to get a pretty decent flight time out of this. Now they give you a micro low-C charging cable. And then they give you some extra props in here. And a little part of it I think is for the phone clip holder. Though this doesn't need a phone clip because this is not the camera version. Then I think there's also a screwdriver in there. Now they give you some prop guards. It's almost like cages, and they go on each of these arms. So if you're flying indoors, you probably should put this on. I think I'm going to put them on for the flight today because it's really poor weather and it's actually nighttime as well. So I'm going to fly this down here in my basement. So I will put these on just so in case I bump into something. So you just put it on like this. I think it goes like this, and it snaps on. And then it just snaps on, so that you could knock them off. But this will protect if you bump into something so the propellers don't as easily hit the wall. Now there's a lot of give to this, so it could still do it. But this will help if you just barely bump something to keep going. Because otherwise, once the propellers hit the wall or an object, it's going to slow them down. The drone's just going to tumble out of the air. So I am going to put these on for today's indoor flight. Now be aware you are going to lose a little bitty bit of flight time, but it's going to be almost unnoticeable because you're adding a tiny bit of weight to the drone. And then of course, the carrying case is also your controller. So you take this display case top off, and there is the neat little controller. So everything's all in one. You grab it off your shelf, take the drone out of the case, and then there you go with the controller. If you hear that noise in the background, it's the furnace kicking on in the house, so I apologize. So the power for that is right here. You turn that on, and it has really cool blue lights. That same effect, and it's going to be going back and forth. Because I believe once we bind it to the drone, let's see if that works. Turn the drone on, then do it up, down, and look, we've got a solid light on the control. Actually, it does still breathe. I thought it might keep that solid, but obviously the lights will stay solid on the drone. I don't see the breathing effect on the drone, so that's good. You still have it on the controller. So on the top you have some bumpers here. This is your 360 flips. So you press that in the direction you want to go. This is your 3 speed rates here on this bumper on the left. Now there's some buttons along the bottom here called instruction manual, so I don't get you any information incorrect. This first one's going to be for like photo video. We're not going to use that because this is the non-camera version. The one that says auto, this is actually headless mode. I don't know why they call it auto. The headless mode is basically the drone's going to fly. The controls are the same no matter which direction the drone faces. That's good for a beginner, but it's not good if you want to learn how to fly a drone the correct way. So I'd recommend you never mess with headless mode unless you just absolutely can't figure it out. This is your auto takeoff. So you press this, the drone should take up out of the air and hover, because this is an altitude hold drone. I'm not going to press it since I'm bound up, but if I give it throttle, it'll probably fire the props up. But since it's self-centering here, it will help keep the drone in the same altitude in the air. And then over here, your far right, short press does your gyro calibration. If I do a short press here, that should do it. And you see the lights flash. That's calibrating the horizontal, so the gyro knows what's level, so the drone doesn't tilt while it's flying. And then a long press for that is going to let you turn the lights on and off. Let's see if it does. Well, it looks like it just does it on the controller. It makes you think you're going to turn the lights off on the drone, but all that does is turn the lights off on the controller. You can see we still have lights on the drone. Okay, that's funny. I don't see why they even mess with that, because your lights under control, unless they bother you, it's not going to use enough power to really matter. It takes 3 AAA batteries here in the bottom. So yeah, here's a little box. Those propeller guards coming. You have to assemble these. They just snap together. They're quite easy. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything for the drone. So let's get this thing up in the air here, fly it around the basement, and see how this little drone performs. So I'll be right back with that. All right, let's go ahead and get the drone up in the air here down in the basement. So I just have my phone, my camera on the tripod, so that way, since we're in a confined area, we can kind of keep it steady and see everything's going on. Now, they don't tell you in here how, in the instruction manuals. I've looked at it like 5 times. I can't see any instructions how to trim this drone. I did a little very short test of a few seconds, and it did drift a bit. It seems like if I press down on this right stick, I can give it trim in the direction it needs to go. That does some double beeping. But I think I got it. So I think it's press in and then trim the direction you want to go, then press in again to confirm, I think. But there's nothing in the instruction manual about how to do it, unless I somehow missed it. So I think that's how you trim up and it should be the same for the left stick as well, if you need to trim like the yaw or something like that. Anyway, that's the best I can tell. So let's go ahead and do the auto takeoff on this. So to do that, you're just going to press the auto takeoff button here. And it does get a lot of altitude, so I'm up to my ceiling and it's going to be well beyond what you guys can see. It's a bit noisy because it's just gear motor driven and not direct drive. You can see those lights are pretty cool. Now this is the slowest rate, first rate. Let's go press that bumper. Now we're in this higher rate and then the highest rate. So I'm going between them. The yaw is the same, but that's slowest rate. And if you have the camera version, that's gonna be the best. Here's your middle rate, it's faster. And here's your highest rate. You can see pretty sporty. I like that one, especially outside. This could certainly be flown outside as long as it's not super windy. But you can see I did get it trimmed. It's not drifting much. And it was drifting quite a bit when I first started up. So it does seem like pressing the stick is what you want to do. Now let's try doing a 360 flip. We are kind of confined in space here. And I don't know how high it's going to want to raise up. So I want to get it down here. And it raised up enough to flip, but enough that I think you guys can see it. Yeah, it stayed in the view. It's got to get low to the floor when I want to do this. Keep it in the camera. Let's go left. Oh, now you can see what happens when you don't account for my other light over there. So let's go ahead now and give it throttle, and then give it throttle again to take off. Now that way, if I give it throttle myself, I can control how high it goes. So what we're doing now, let's do that flip to the left. So let's just let's get it lower here. Left flip. Oh, I did speed rate. Hit the wrong bumper. And there it did. It probably got out of the camera's view. Let's do that again. It did it. You have to take my word for it. Let's try right. Yeah, you can see it there on the camera. Yeah, this is a fun little flyer. Now it's hard for me to do a whole lot here because of the limited space. But the weather's going to rain all week, so I'm not going to be able to get this outside. You know, a little water won't hurt it. And it's going to be windy. And this little brush motor powered drone doesn't weigh a lot. I didn't weigh it, but I'm sure it's probably under 200 grams. I can't imagine. It's definitely under 250. I'll weigh it and put that information up here if you're curious, just in case you're worried about any kind of regulations and remote ID and stuff like that. This is just a toy. No one's gonna care. Yeah, this flies great. Exactly what you expect from a JJRC, and I do like these lights. Again, these prop guards, prop cages, It's not something I would mess with outdoors, because the problem with outdoors is a little drone like this, if it gets up against a tree and you're up kind of high, those tree limbs are going to get caught in there, and they make great tree hangers. It's like hooks for an ornament. You're going to get caught up in the tree, and your drone's going to look like an ornament, like a Christmas tree ornament. So there's no real reason for prop guards outside. They're not going to bust these props outside too easily. And if you do, you got spares. But inside, where you have a confined area and you got all the walls, you're much more likely to bust the prop. We got flashing lights, so we already got low battery. Now, I did fly it for just a brief moment before I took off here just to test. Probably less than a minute. So whatever flight time you see for this, you can maybe add a minute to it where I did a quick test. But yeah, in a confined space, this flies super. Look how stable that is. Just the slightest drift, which is normal for any non-GPS drone. This is an awesome little drone. Highly recommend it. And again, I'm just going to go ahead and land it here on the ground. And as soon as it hits the ground, the gyro detects that and it turns off the motors. You can't see that in the video, but yeah. Highly recommend this. I would suggest, if you're getting this, unless you have to have the camera version, save a few dollars. Get this one here to practice flying, because that we don't have to mess with an app and Wi-Fi connection, and that can also cause some issues sometimes with control lag. I won't get into that today. But yeah, I would just buy the non-camera version of this drone. There'll be a purchase link down AliExpress for this. I think it's about 24 bucks with free shipping. Takes about 2 weeks it took to get here. And you know you're getting it from a name brand in the toy RC drone world. So this is going to function pretty good, as it just did. Didn't have the longest flight time. But you know, it has a little weight to it. But again, I put that in the video there, how much this drone actually does weigh. It's not very much. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this review. I'm sorry that it's not the biggest area, and so don't hate me for that. It's the conditions of weather, winter time. You know, I got to do what I got to do. You know, it's not that huge. But yeah, it would be better in a gymnasium. Would be the best. But outside on a day where it's just very light to no breeze is when you'd want to fly this drone. You really need brushless motors if you're going to fly in a decent amount of wind. So if you're new to the channel, you like this stuff, please consider subscribing. While you're at it, click that bell. That way you're notified when I do upload new videos. And as always, guys, have an awesome day.
The power of the dark side.